Folks, getting into the next set of sessions here. We're going to hear from some more data heroes. We're going to start with Mass General Brigham. Lisa Morella from Mass General Brigham. As you'll hear in the story, Lisa was told many times when she started on her journey, which is not the most inspirational thing. This is too hard and it's not going to work. But she and her team persisted, and with the help of the Right MDM platform, is solving a problem that clearly hadn't been possible to solve in the past in their organization, that of building a reference data set for their data providers. So with that, let's jump in and let Lisa tell her story.
My name is Lisa, and I work at Mass General Brigham, which is a large integrated healthcare delivery system headquartered in Boston. MGB is comprised of 12 different health systems, including an insurance company. And we are the largest private employer in Massachusetts. And so it's a wonderful place to work, and just it's so incredible to be around so many talented physicians day in and day out. I am a senior director of analytic enablement and data governance. And so my responsibilities include our business intelligence and data governance platform. We use Tableau and Calibra and do metadata management, business glossary, data dictionaries, data quality. And then more recently, I took over responsibility for master data management using Prophecy. What is our business problem? So we were approached by our marketing department at Mass General Brigham a short time ago with their interest in getting better data to support the need for setting up a new Find a Provider system. And the idea of this Find a Provider system is to allow patients to search and schedule appointments with a provider with various attributes, such as things like their specialty, disease condition, symptoms, location, things that many patients would just expect us to have already built. And what's surprising is that it had been attempted to create this kind of data foundation many times in the past, but it was a manual effort. People were using spreadsheets and crosswalks, and it was never really sustainable and often failed. So we knew we had to find a better way. What was our data problem? MGB is a large and complex organization with many different applications and platforms. We have data flying all over the place. Data gets created daily at different times, and it's not often complete in terms of the provider record. You can imagine things like provider names get misspelled or abbreviated, and it's often just incomplete. There's not even a guaranteed way to match providers across the enterprise. Why did we look to MDM to solve this problem? Well, we knew the manual effort was simply not scalable. And we liked the master data management concept because of the out-of-the-box capabilities to do things like match and merge, survivorship, get to that golden record quickly. And as we started thinking about our future state data ecosystem with our digital transformation, we knew we wanted to have an MDM component in the middle. Our strategy is to push this data to our enterprise data warehouse for broad consumption. And we could also see many different use cases for this kind of technology beyond the provider use case. Why did we select Prophecy? We had spoken to many of our peers across the country that were also large healthcare systems that had already implemented Prophecy and were a bit further ahead on their master data management journey. And we were really impressed with their ability to implement and get to a solution quickly. So we went with Prophecy based on their reputation and the testimonials we heard from our peers. How is the project going? The project is going really well. It's going great. In fact, we were able to get through phase 1 faster than marketing was even ready to accept the data with their system. The buzz around our organization is that people are excited. They've heard about MDM, they've seen the data, they've been able to use it with some of their data and analytic projects, and they're just thrilled with the direction that we're going. They keep thinking about more and more utilities for this data beyond the basic information that we have captured. So we keep expanding scope and the usefulness, things like adding different attributes to support our chief medical office and their ability to tie what they're doing to outcomes for our patients. And it really just helps us feel like we're impacting patient care. What are our future plans? We have a lot of plans. Given how excited people are, we feel like we want to completely deliver on this first use case because the provider domain is pretty expansive. And so we want to make sure we nail that before we tackle and expand our other opportunities. But you can imagine for an organization as large as ours that there's already talk about taking this capability and going to employees. It's a great time to do that as we're implementing Workday currently, thinking about our researchers. So not just the traditional provider physicians that we've started thinking about out of the gate. We also want to capture diagnostic and outcome information to support research. We have quite a large research program at MGB, and then just being able to help out with our pop health management group and thinking about how they look at our highest risk, highest cost patients. What have we learned and what might we do differently? You know, I think if I had that crystal ball, I would have hired our technical team and mobilized them a bit earlier. What we did was we got the contract done and then we started looking for resources, and that took a little bit of time in this market to recruit the right people. But by partnering with Prophecy Professional Services, we were able to get our infrastructure set up on time and hit our MVP deliverable, which was pretty short. It was about 54 business days from the time we stood up the platform to when we went live. Additionally, I think it's really important to have that executive sponsorship. Without it, I don't know if we would have been as successful, if we would have been able to move as quickly as we did, because we really needed to enlist the help of others. This was really a cross-functional team that made this project so successful. And I think without that sponsorship, we would have struggled a bit. You know, how I would advise others is I think this is sometimes difficult for stakeholders to conceptualize. So anything you can do to illustrate the problem. In our case, we actually took a provider sample from the website and just showed how she looked based on how she actually practiced and what the variance was. And that was a really powerful, compelling example. So I think anything you can do to help illustrate not only what the problem is you're trying to solve, but how you're going to solution it will help just enlist the support you need to be successful. What excites me about MDM is just the fact that it wasn't that difficult to accomplish, despite the fact that I don't know if I had a lot of folks supporting me when we first, came around and said what our plan was to get this done. They kind of told me, "Hey, Lisa, this has been done before. Good luck to you, but you're never gonna succeed, basically." So I think it was a bit daunting when we got started, which was also during the summertime, and it was a little difficult to get the folks that we needed to in a room to discuss our plans. But I think once we did and we started to show those artifacts on what our framework would be for making decisions and explain that this was not only a technology project, but it was also a large project in operational governance, then we were able to win them along. And I think the reflection I have today is to just, be assertive and keep progressing and move forward until you get success.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. An excellent case study in persistence and just keeping on going despite what people may have been saying, but also getting some traction and having established some traction and shown the before and after of what's possible, leading to a lot more use cases in the future. So we look forward to checking in with Mass General Brigham again in the future to see how many more use cases they've been able to implement. So next up in our Data Heroes, hearing from the heroes, is YMCA. I think we've all heard of YMCA. I imagine we all know the good work they do, but probably few realize that under the surface, they operate, at least from a data perspective, as many different independent organizations. This makes it tough to get an overall view of the organization and provide a great member experience. If you're listening in on one of the earlier sessions, Malcolm's YMDM panel, Bruce Fitzgerald from YMCA talked a little bit about this. But now let's hear from Tom Gardner, the CIO of YMCA, on how they use MDM and how they're dealing with this problem. Here we go.
Hi, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and the YMCA of the USA. My name is Tom Gardner. I'm the Senior Vice President of Information Technology and Chief Information Officer at YMCA of the USA. Let me tell you a little bit about our organization. We've been around for a while. In fact, the YMCA was established in England in 1844 and the USA in 1851. Our mission and what we focus on, what we do is about strengthening and inspire communities. We help people appreciate their potential and each other. Some statistics about YUSA and how we're structured is in the form of, we've got a national office, 763 associations with 2,700 branch locations. The most important part is we've got 20 million members in the United States that we serve. Considering the scale and scope of that organization, my role is twofold. One, I have responsibility for the national office, all aspects of IT in the national office. But we're a federated nonprofit. And in that, I have the responsibility really to provide guidance and direction for our 763 branch locations. Our business problem is, I'll say, real simple to state and not so simple to fix, but we're focused on doing that. And it really is to improve member engagement and loyalty by identifying in-demand programs with outcomes that align well with mission. Why did we select Prophecy? Well, we selected Prophecy because we were intrigued with the efficiency or the opportunities to efficiently tackle our challenge with the Prophecy platform. We liked the prospects of applying automation and felt that with a lean team, as I'll get into more later, this is not, help us boost productivity, but truthfully help us get things done that we just don't have bandwidth to get done otherwise. We're going to be able, with Prophecy, to ingest data from that really wide funnel. I mean, that 763 associations wide, 29 different source systems wide. We saw Prophecy as a real opportunity to be able to ingest data at that level. We like the administrative capabilities that are in the system, and Microsoft, who helped us engineer our target data architecture, recommended Prophecy for MDM, which just happened to coincide with our own research and really supported the decision to move forward and pilot Prophecy. And in fact, we've moved forward with Prophecy in a big way now. By the way, I had experience in another nonprofit with another widely used, widely recognized MDM. And in thinking back at that experience, to go with that platform would have been way too expensive and taken way too long to get the kind of results we need to get at the YUSA. It's going well. In just a few short months, we finished phase one, which was our staff domain. And from a staffing perspective, you're looking at about 30,000 unique staff records in the system. It was the easy place for us to start, to learn, to build rules, etc. Our member and volunteer domains will follow, and we're planning on picking up that work this fall. By the way, we've implemented the SaaS version of Prophecy, and that aligns really well with our own infrastructure strategy to be cloud-based, but it also is extremely helpful because we're a lean organization, and we've really benefited from Prophecy's ability to quickly stand up an environment and support that environment for us. So what have we learned along the way? Well, we've learned a lot. For me personally, I've developed yet new, because it's not new to me, but when it comes to data stewardship and how data stewardship is part of the overall effort, to master data on the Prophecy platform, I've developed a new appreciation for it and am encouraged, at the efficiency afforded to the steward in Prophecy as compared to the MDM solution I used in the past. I'm surprised how quickly we were able to master at the staff level and how well the data quality improvement work went. It's interesting to be able to observe for me, because I haven't been hands-on from a technical perspective, but I've certainly been very engaged in the process. And I like the way the system has been adaptive, if you will, to the team, and the way the team has been able to adapt their roles to Prophecy, and how quickly they got up and running and how productive they've been in the Prophecy platform. So, as I think about MDM and data strategies and how they affect organizations, one word comes to mind, and that is trust. And that done well, these systems provide a unique opportunity to organize data, improve the quality of data, and harness data at a level that's, in my experience, just not attainable by traditional means.
Excellent, Tom. Thank you so much for that, for outlining how YMCA is using Prophecy. And interesting that Tom mentioned there that in a past life, previous nonprofit, he'd used a completely different MDM solution. And when he came to YMCA and had a similar problem to tackle, he picked Prophecy for it. And the same is true of our next and last for the day customer case study, which is from Rogers. In a moment, we're going to hear from Bipin Jairaj, CIO of Rogers Corporation. Rogers is a 190 years old manufacturer, which means they are certainly doing something right in terms of reinventing themselves and driving for efficiency and all of that kind of good stuff. So one of the ways they're pushing forward to greater efficiency in the current world, same as a lot of other manufacturers, is they've ended up with a lot of what I call ERP sprawl, many different ERP systems that support different divisions. But in order to gain efficiencies of scale, they need to get a single view of some of their core master data areas like customer, vendor, product, and that kind of thing. So Bipin will talk a little bit about how they're managing multiple ERPs and starting a migration towards a single instance of SAP, but in the meantime, using Prophecy to get a lot of insights to their data. So let's hear from Bipin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bipin Jairaj. I'm the Vice President CIO of Rogers Corporation. Just to give a background about Rogers. Rogers is a global technology leader with over 190 years of experience in specialty engineering materials that enable high performance and high reliabilities. And our market spaces that we play in are EV, HEV, wireless infrastructure, automotive safety, and portable electronics. As a CIO of Rogers, I'm responsible for the information systems, cybersecurity, infrastructure, but I also partner with my business transformation vice president to implement multiple solutions as part of the business transformation umbrella, the latest being S/4HANA, MDM being one of them too. So the business problem at Rogers, and if I were to talk about going back a little bit, and I always use the wordings of 190 plus years of Rogers and why that is relevant, it's pretty astonishing. I mean, we were founded in 1832 as a paper mill back in Connecticut, and we have stayed relevant and grown through constant change and what I would call resilience, always looking ahead into the market space, where we need to go and where we need to grow. And as you can understand, our growth in the last 5 years have been predominantly in the EV, HEV region. If you look at back from 2015, I went back and looked. Since 2015, we've had an acquisition every year, almost to date, which essentially, we grew by M&As, and our default has been acquiring companies and kind of let them operate independently before we completely integrate them into the core Rogers, if you will. It's good and bad, that's a business strategy. But one of the things that we have identified now that for us to scale, having systems in multiple ERPs and different processes becomes a problem. And we've recently come to believe, and we've seen it in the business processes, that we're not able to serve our customers because we have multiple business divisions too, which serve probably the same customers. So there's a lot of duplicity, redundancy, multiple go-to-market strategies, if you will, that we were trying to kind of button down a bit and be consistent. And when we look back and we thought, oh, I think we need to bring together, consolidate many of the processes / data that we have in different places. And so back to the question about business problem, that essentially is a business problem, which is multiple ERPs. We're trying to create or collect all the data and consolidate the data from multiple ERPs into a single view for the business, and working towards consolidating multiple ERPs into a single instance or a single ERP, if you will. So coming to the data problem, as I explained earlier, we have the business problem of multiple ERPs, and as you can understand, the multiple ERPs across many years start creating multiple data sets, if you will. And the data problem that we currently have is there is no single source of truth of key data across these multiple businesses. The bigger problem that you have is when your customers or your internal users of data do not trust the data, partly because of the fact that it is in multiple places. There's no data consistency, and the notion of which is the right data, that becomes a big problem. And when you start collecting all this information into some of our big three domains, customer, supplier, and materials, and the fact that we have multiple ERPs and incomplete, inconsistent data, duplicate data across systems, in many cases, yes, it is normal, but to get a meaningful enterprise-wide view and to make decisions, sales and forecasting and so on and so forth, that becomes a problem. And we also need a single set of data, a clean set of data, which is true data, since we're migrating into a single instance of ERP, and we are looking to standardize the data as much as possible before we make the big move into a single instance, if you will. Now, coming to the topic of selecting why Prophecy, I have had experience with Prophecy from my previous organization. We had run multiple RFPs to identify what is the right tool. We did our due diligence, so I had some experience with Prophecy. The use case for Prophecy and the selection of Prophecy in the current Rogers journey is very similar, which is, I have a technology strategy where most of our data-related functions are going to be based on our Microsoft platform. And we looked at multiple competitors, including SAP, which is going to be our ERP. But the biggest thing that came to us, it is Microsoft centric, and our play is going to be, our data platform is going to be Microsoft. We have invested in Microsoft Purview for governance, so Prophecy just made sense from a fitment perspective, and that was the biggest driver, if you will. Our Rogers data platform, which is our data platform, is built on Azure, and we also needed a multi-domain solution. And multi-domain solution, as much as the marketing calls it, the fact that licensing of Prophecy does not limit us to a single domain was very key for us. That's a big. It's a very small item from a Prophecy perspective or a different clients, but for us it was a big deal because there are a lot of these MDM solutions actually charge you for separate domains, and the cost becomes a big problem. And that was a big thumbs up for us too, to go the Prophecy way. ERP is going to be where all the data resides, but also in our case, our data is going to be in multiple places. With respect to our customer data is going to be in Salesforce. Our quality data is going to be in another tool called ETQ, and so on. So what I'm trying to do right now, which we have been successful with, is hook up Purview and Prophecy and into multiple other things like Salesforce. And Prophecy is actually live with multiple domains and has been integrated into Salesforce. We are actually connecting that to IBP. We will be connecting it to ETQ and so on and so forth. So we're not waiting for the big bang, get the prophecy done for the ERP. We're also leveraging it, to create the entire catalog, managing the catalog, governance of the catalog for purview, prophecy, and then bringing them all together so that we can get the benefit of it. We're kind of trying to jumpstart the benefits before we even go to the ERP, so which is going to be a good one for us. The thought of the impact of a tool like MDM on the company is multifold. If I were to start with the business problem, which I stated early on, truth and trusting the data, those are hallmarks of any data system that you have. If you can successfully point back to a tool, and not necessarily a tool-dependent answer, but if you can point back to a tool, in this case being prophecy, and you can actually prove that that is the truth and data and how you had cleaned it up and bring it, I mean, that will go a long way. And that, I think, is the biggest impact the organization is going to have, to be able to actually put your finger on that and say that that's the right data, and we can make really good decisions based on this data. That, I think, is a big game changer, first of all. And then, of course, there are multiple results coming out of that. But I think that's where you start. How much data do you have? How clean they are? Can you trust the data? Those are some basic stuff. But once you build the foundation based on that, I think you can go and do multiple things on, the possibilities are endless, of course.
Fantastic, Bipin. Thank you so much for that. So over the course of today, you've heard from a lot of different data heroes, prophecy users of various different types through the panels and the recorded testimonials. I hope you found a lot of value in all of them. Certainly I have, and more than just learning, some inspiration from what other people have done, and so that you can be more successful, hopefully, in your own journey. So we have a couple of minutes until the next session, which is on how to launch an MDM program in 90 days. I know it's getting late on the East Coast. It's even later, obviously, in Europe. And I'm still seeing people online from Europe, and a big audience still overall. So we'll give you a couple of minutes here, and then we'll be back with how to launch an MDM program in 90 days.